So let's switch to my presentation. To be honest, I don't remember ever saying that my talk has to do something with magic. But Pep said, yes, you sent me an email. It says magic. And I lost a bet, so I had to put some unicorns on the slide, so to make it more fancy. Because yeah, it's kind of magic what happens when you lock in psychologists and data scientists in one room and watch what comes out of it. Yeah, Ton already told this marketing slide, so I don't have to. I would like to start with my personal experience. So when I'm browsing on the internet and I would like to buy some stuff, usually a typical online shop shows me something like that. Who speaks German? Oh, why? Okay, good luck. I thought I'm nice, so I translated for you. That says, based on your last order, we have some products that you could like and that would fit perfectly. Perfectly. I mean, that's a word, perfectly. Fit perfectly to your existing articles. Our recommendations for you. Samsung Galaxy Tab S8.4 16GB Wi-Fi 4G, dazzling white. Dazzling white. That fits perfectly to what I ordered last time. First thing, I ordered there 25 times in this shop, 25 times, not one time. And second, guess what? I mean, you can separate the world and people who love Android products and people who love Apple products. So guess what I bought the last 25 times when I was on this shop? Why? Why should I perfectly love a Samsung, I call it Samsung, Galaxy Tab 8.4 dazzling white? No. I don't want that. And additionally, these guys, they show me a teaser on their website. A big teaser. No, sorry. It's even worse. I mean, it says, sorry, I did not translate that. It says, opt in for our newsletter and get a €5 voucher. And guess what? This is not on the website. It's in the newsletter, right? You can't imagine this amount of stupidity, right? And I got the €5, but I did not buy a Samsung tab. So, thanks to Aaron and the speaker's dinner, I realized that this is the perfect analogy for what happens in most e-commerce websites. Because some tool sales guy come there and say, oh, we developed this algorithm, it's very mighty, you won't understand it, but it has something to do with AI and machine learning, and it helps to solve you all your problems. So just install this instant uplift tool, and you will grow like Amazon, or whatever. Your dream is, it solves everything. And if you think this is just an outlier, you're wrong. This is like the proof check. This is Audible, so it's Amazon. A friend of mine sent it to me, said, look at that. It's a newsletter, and it's advertising the nicest novels, the best thrillers, crime, science fiction. And these guys at Amazon, they really have all the data, and they're clever, right? These Amazon guys are really clever. I think last year in my talk I said these Amazon guys are really clever. So sorry. It's not that. I bought 39 audiobooks at Audible. 43 are on my wish list. And all of them are about online marketing. I did not ever read one novel or listen to it or science fiction. Never. And for some of our clients that pay a lot for their recommendation engines, they asked us, you know what, we don't know the impact of the recommendation engine. Can we test it? So we made the most simple A/B test that you could do. We just eliminated the recommendation engine to see what the impact on revenue really is. This is not the result for everybody, because it depends on how good your recommendation engine really is. But to be honest, for around 3 of our clients, the result was that. And for some of them, it was even a little bit better without recommendation. Not significantly, but. So what's the problem here? I don't know if you had similar experience with crappy recommendations. There are a lot of fun going on Facebook sometimes about that. My impression is these people who think about recommendation, technology, tool, infrastructure, digital transformation, they are hired by C-level guys saying, give me the best solution. And this is kind of the McKinsey, Boston Consulting, PwC, Accenture way of seeing our business. We all should be aware how they see the business. And I love this example. It's great. It's really great. This is how digital transformation works. And guess what is missing in that principle? Come on, guys. The customer. Who said this? Yes, the customer is missing. How can you build a strategy, a digital transformation strategy without the customer? Just if you think your world looks like this, this is the Accenture type of people saying, this is our world, this is how it looks. We are mighty, we do digital transformation. But we ignore the real world, because real people, they look like this, right? These are real people. These are the people that are buying this Samsung Galaxy dazzling white thing, right? And you should know what these people really want and what they really like. If you don't understand them, you cannot sell them something that's relevant, right? How could you? By the way, I like this guy that can put his finger through the nose. I clicked on the photo and it's real. He really can do that. So maybe you can invite him next year as a magician. So, even if they execute badly at Audible, I really love Jeff Bezos for this quote, saying, always start with the customer and work backwards. Don't start with the tool or the technology or the infrastructure, and even don't start with the data. Start with the customer. Realize that data is a product of customer behavior. So start with the customer. That's the root of everything. And that's the problem when we want to talk about personalization, we want to talk about how can we make ROI out of data. And the thing is, without filling in these blank spaces, data has no ROI. Data just costs a lot of money to keep it, to observe it, to analyze it. It costs a lot of money, no ROI. You can make ROI out of data if you realize that you have to build a stimulus with data on the website that gets into the brain of the customer because it's relevant and it changes their behavior. So it's a reaction to the stimulus. This is the SOR paradigm. It's very old, psychological stuff. And then, out of that reaction, you make ROI. So learn from the real world. How are car salesmen selling their cars? So I said, this is Frank. He has to sell this car. And somebody enters the showroom. It's Arthur von Graf, whatever, saying, this is my business card. So he has a firm handshake, talks in short sentences, moves fast, is impatient, maybe expensive clothes. I don't know. What do you think? What type of customer is this? We call him a performer. It's a personality type model we are using called limbic types. It's a German model, so I don't know if it's available in other countries, but it doesn't matter which model you're using. You can use Bayer modalities, HDI, DISC, whatever. There are thousands of type models there. Thing is, scientifically it might be not correct, but you can predict this guy is kind of a performer. So what is Frank doing when he sells the car? He picks the value propositions that he has, this is like his tools, and adapts them to what's relevant for Arthur. So he said, you're sitting higher, you win a race against a Cayenne, you know, that's important for you. You have a great sound. You can even read emails while you're driving. And nobody has LED lights yet. Who has LED lights in his car? Who wants LED lights in his car? Thank you. I also want LED lights on my car. What happens if another customer enters the showroom? Martin Müller with his family. So Martin speaks calm, looks for affirmation of his wife. You know that magic moments when you buy a car? Oh. Talks about us, asks about security features, talks about the last holidays, he likes swimming, he hates mosquitoes, and so on. Anyway, what kind of personality type is this? We call it a harmonizer. So now let's switch to Frank. What would Frank do when he sells the car? These are the value propositions he adapted for Arthur. He would not use the same. He would adapt them again for another type of customer. Of course, he would say, you know, LED lights, they have a higher security, they adapt automatically, and it's also more secure for the other people in traffic, whatever. Children entertainment system, he will adapt the value propositions. And why is he doing so? Because he realized if he wants to sell something, people need the feeling that it is something they love, that they kind of embrace because it's made for them. And I call it, it's a difference between relevance, value propositions, rational, relevant, and resonance is something emotionally resonating with me. So that's the level that Frank, as a good salesman, is building. And he's doing nothing else than observing customers, building his own clusters. He maybe doesn't know about the limbic type system, but he knows there are certain types. And he gives them the experience these people really want. And Pep started to use W. Edwards Deming quotes in his presentation, so I thought I'd continue with this tradition. So how do you do that online? It's the same thing. As I said, today, tactical reality, that's how I called it, is use this simple machine learning things for recommendations that don't work and don't have a high impact on your sales. Strategic vision of the C-level, in the meantime, with Accenture, build a big data infrastructure AI machine learning thing, marketing automatization fantasy. After 2 years, they realize, oh, it's not that big and it takes longer. After another year, it even takes more longer. One of our guys in the advisory board, he's responsible for the second biggest publishing company in Germany. They built a big data infrastructure for 6 million euros. 6 million euros. They had no idea how to make ROI out of it. When they switched it on, what happened? Nothing. So they switch it off again. In the meantime, the competitor is doing something smart. Nobody knows what. The problem is, these people have no pain. And if you don't have any pain, you continue doing stupid stuff, right? As long as it doesn't hurt. I think 6 million euros doesn't hurt these guys, so they continue doing that. How can you adapt the principle of Frank to your online business? Look at that. This is a study people did on Facebook saying we can build a machine that can predict your personality type. This time, it's a Big Five model, a very valid, psychologically valid model for personality types. And you can read this diagram in a way that says we need not even 10 interactions with content on Facebook to predict the personality type, similar how your coworkers would be able to do that. After 260 something interactions and likes, we can do it better than a spouse. And what do? They collect patterns. So, and that's the same thing that Frank is doing as a salesman, right? You could use mouse movement and whatever to predict the personality type. And look at this, Jakob Nielsen, he did this already 15 years ago. He's seen different patterns. These are biomodalities, different patterns for different types of people in eye tracking. So you have the same with mouse movement and other data. So what should you do? First, be aware about the types of users you have on your website. Hire somebody that could do something like a cluster analysis and find out, do you see any correlation between what do you see like from a qualitative point of view, from a psychological point of view, what types of people are these and what do they really want? And can you find them in your data? And then validate your theory online. Build a model, do an A/B test. You could do. We did it like this. It was really handmade. This is nothing you can really copy, but it says analyze all the data in a kind of a scoring model. We did it this way that we, for example, looked for traffic sources. If traffic source is a price comparison website, we found correlations that price comparison website traffic has a higher probability to be a certain type of user. So we kind of give some points, and if we have a significant higher amount of points for a certain type, we predict that the probability that this user is a certain type is given. So once you know that, what could you do? So back to recommendations. We realize that certain types of people prefer certain things. So for example, we changed the recommendation engine in a way that for people that are harmonizers or traditionalists, we said customer with similar interests bought these products. Because these people are very oriented on the behavior of other people. While discount people, they get discount products, and so on. We got 8.6% higher add to cart rate through recommendations. Or log in. It's important that people log in. If people log in, you have much more data immediately. So we thought, how can we make people log in before checkout? So we created some element above the login, like a value proposition for the login. And we use different value propositions depending on the type of users that we have. So this made us 33% more logins before checkout. And finally, we changed the value propositions of the whole shop. So this is one example about delivery. Depending, is it more a dominant user, more balanced user? We just use the same value propositions, but in different sentences. So similar to what Frank does when he sells a car. And this gave us 18% more revenue. So what do I want to say with this? This is a study of us. Sorry, this is in German, so you don't understand it. It says, with the words you are using in your AdWords campaigns, you already kind of determine what kind of users you get on your website. So if you use like performance-oriented words, there's a higher chance that you get performers on your website. And this is another study saying if you optimize your AdWords, you can maybe increase your conversion rate by up to 50%. If you optimize the landing page alone, you could increase it on average by like 32%. But if it's a consistent experience, emotionally consistent, the potential is there to double the conversion rate. So this is why personalization is important. So you can deliver that consistent user experience. Who loves Booking.com? Some of you. Who's annoyed by last booking 3 minutes ago from Kazakhstan, only one room left? Same amount of people. Who of the people who are annoyed use it anyway? The thing is, you should be aware that certain personality types prefer certain cognitive biases. You cannot say prefer because it happens unconsciously. But in this study, this shows there's a higher probability that people who are like stimulants orientated, they react on scarcity much better. And people who are more dominant, they react on commitment better. So to know what kind of type of user sits in front of the computer is very helpful if you are playing the persuasion game. So, if this does not exist, I would call this area the area of smart data. And to talk about customer type is just one example. You can do other intelligent things like RFM analysis. Who knows what RFM is? Recency, frequency, monetary, heard about it? Yeah. Use that, it's a beginning. You don't have to be like a deep analyzing psychologist. Start with RFM. Ask yourself, in what position of the customer journey are the people? This is smart data. Don't use weather geo-targeting to sell umbrellas if it's raining. No, don't do that. These are more clever things. So this is kind of the framework we use. And you can read it as simple as start with understanding the user experience and then ask yourself, what data could we use to predict that? Find correlations, hire a data scientist, use your data scientist to find the correlations, build a model, and then change the user experience in the way you did it. And you will find out this way of thinking about personalization is very similar to what we already do in A/B testing. So you don't have to change that much in thinking. That's it from me. Thank you very much.